Hey guys, Alf here. I thought I'd make a quick little video about David Silverman. If you don't know who he is, which you should, especially if you're sub to my channel, I don't know how you don't know who he is. But yeah, he's an activist for atheism. He has been for a very long time. I want to talk about like how he kind of impacted my life and stuff like that. But remember when I was younger, like in my early 20s, I think I decided I was already questioning Christianity. I mean, I was raised to Hispanic parents, so you know, most Hispanics are Catholic and they're really devout about it. And yeah, so I was raised to two Catholic parents, but my parents weren't very religious. They very much believe in it, but they didn't push it too hard. You know, we weren't forced, me and my brother weren't forced to go to a church. We were just kind of, my mom liked us to go on holidays or something, like on Easter and stuff like that, Christmas, you know. But when we were real little, she used to make us go. But when I got a little older, church was so boring, right? Like, so, you know, I think my brother and I made the case that, like, we don't need to go to church to be close to God. We could do that at home, right? You could pray at home. But either way, let me move forward a little bit. Maybe when I was a young teen, like freshman year in high school and stuff, I started really questioning it. I mean, my parents lied to me about Santa Claus, right? And I figured that out when I was young. So I was like, if they lied to me about that, what else are they gonna lie to me about? They lied to me about the invisible man that comes through the chimney and leaves me presents that nobody has ever seen. But, you know, they're not lying to me about this invisible guy in the sky who's watching me fucking masturbate and shit, you know? It just seemed so odd, you know? So, also, there was a point, maybe when I was 11 or 12, I read the Bible twice and in English and once in Spanish. I was like a year maybe that I was really getting into, like, looking into it. But reading it really was like the best way to question it, because after reading it, like, the more and more I read it, the more I was like, this seems ridiculous, you know? And so yeah, so kind of going along on this story. But yeah, so by the time I reached my teenage years, I was really questioning it. And I think by like sophomore year, I was already like, yeah, I'm an atheist, like, this is bullshit. I mean, in those days I was more like, oh, I'm agnostic, you know? That's, you know, that's what happens when you first break free. And I mean, now to me, atheism and agnosticism is the same thing. You don't believe, you don't believe. So I'll skip forward to like my early 20s, mid 20s. I really didn't know many atheists. I was kind of the only one. You know, I'm from a very densely populated city in New Jersey, in northern New Jersey. It's mostly Hispanics, and even when I was younger and the Hispanics hadn't just started immigrating, it was mostly Italians and Irish. So I mean, regardless, everybody was religious, and I didn't really have many people to talk to atheism about. I didn't have anybody to hear about atheism about. It was all just my own thoughts and my own questioning of it and my own thing that, like, yeah, I don't think I believe this, but like most of my friends did, everybody else did, you know, family member, my friends' families, my teachers in school. It was really hard to find anybody that I could discuss with. So skip forward, like YouTube comes around for a while. I was never too big into YouTube. I used to just use it to watch, you know, people falling off skateboards and, you know, cats and shit and news bloopers and stuff. But, you know, one day I'm scouring around and this whole atheism thing started really blowing up on YouTube. It was mostly just people talking about atheism, people talking about you don't have to be religious. Like, if you don't believe in this and you're just being religious for the people around you, you don't have to be. And also there were a lot of creationist stuff, and atheists were coming out debunking all this creationist stuff. So I came about a bunch of like atheist channels in the early days, if you guys remember, like Amazing Atheist, Cult of Dusty, and of course my friend Devin Tracy, Atheism is Unstoppable. I came upon his channel real early, and I don't remember which I saw first, if I saw David Silverman on Fox first, or if I saw Devin's video on it first and then started looking to David. And so I googled David Silverman after that in the native tongue of my parents. David Superman. Oh, me equivoqué. David Silverman. But I'm pretty sure I got deeper into looking at what David was saying through Devin's videos. Devin had him as one of his horsemen at the bottom, and I knew David Silverman was from New Jersey, was living in New Jersey, and that helped me, look, kind of appealed to me a bit and be like, oh yeah, this guy knows. So I remember starting to look into his videos, and I remember him on the O'Reilly factor. That was priceless when the whole when Bill O'Reilly said tide goes in, tide goes out, you can't explain that. The face David made and his response was amazing, and it was like the funniest thing I've ever seen, man. I died laughing, and I was...
It's not a scam, in my opinion, all right? Tide goes in, tide goes out. Never a miscommunication. You can't explain that. You can explain why the tide goes in.
Tide goes in, tide goes out.
See, the water, the tide comes in and it goes out, Mr. Silverman.
Maybe
it always
it's
comes
Thor
in,
on top of Mount Olympus who's making the tides go in and out.
No, but you can't explain
that. A scam and a myth are the same. The myth and religion are the same thing. It doesn't matter if I can explain it.
It doesn't?
That doesn't mean that an invisible magic man in the sky is doing it.
And you're free to believe that.
Because it's just like, what kind of a dumb thing is that to say? Everybody knows that the tide goes in. Why tides happen, why we have waves in water. Everybody knows these things. Everybody knows, like, or at least has a good idea of how the moon works and why we have a moon and stuff, because I think that was some other stuff Bill O'Reilly was saying. But and then after that I was like, oh, I like this guy, he's great. So I started looking up more of his talks, and he was putting up billboards across America that, you don't have to go to church. I remember him talking to Hannity about Christmas stuff and, all this religious stuff. And, I really dug into him, and I like the things he was saying. At that moment, it was still really early in me being able to find people talking about atheism. Everything was my own thoughts, and it wasn't like people like David or Devin turned me into atheism. I was already an atheist, but they showed me that there were other people who were thinking the things I was thinking, and when I would watch shows where people were talking about stuff that were religious, they showed me that there's people out there who refute these things, and that it's okay to refute these things, and it's okay to be an atheist, and it's okay to tell your family, hey, I'm an atheist. And I'll tell you, I think it was in like my early 20s. For a long time, I didn't want to tell my mother that I was an atheist. At that point, my parents had already been divorced, and it was just me and my mom for a long time. We went through a lot of tough times together, but we pulled through, and things got better. And and she just always brought up God to me, even though she's not hyper religious. She doesn't go to church all the time. She doesn't read the Bible all the time or anything like that. But she believes, and she still does. But, there was just one time we were having a serious conversation about something. I can't even remember what it was. But, she brought up God and said something like, well, God will look out for us in the future and this and that. And, at that point, I just let it out. And I was like, I don't believe that. Like, I don't believe God exists. I think we're the ones who will make our futures, and we're the ones who make this world and make this world what it is. We're the ones who make life what it is, and God has nothing to do with it. He doesn't exist. There's no being up there in the sky who's pulling strings. We're pulling our own strings, as humans, maybe not as individuals, because maybe there's other humans higher up than us that are pulling our strings, but in the end, humans are the ones who are making this life what it is. It's not something external. And she got pretty sad about it. And I have a good relationship with my mom, always did. So it's kind of, like, who wants to make their parents sad? It's gonna, I understand why people don't want to tell their parents. I understand why people don't want to tell loved ones these things, because my mother raised me, and I knew it would make her sad to tell her these things, but it was that time, I was maybe like 23, 24. I had gone through some tough stuff too, where I had to move back in with her after I moved out when I was younger. And then, I just had to tell, it was just the right time. It just had to come, and she did get sad. And she told me something that made me sad, because she told me, oh, I raised you wrong, and that made me kind of sad. But in her saying that, soon after, I thought, no, No, you didn't raise me wrong. You raised me to think for myself. You never pushed your own ideas on me adamantly so that I would blindly follow things. You know, she taught me to think for myself and to question things and to make sure what's going on in my life, not to just believe things right away. You know, she taught me all these great things. And I explained that to her, that I think that made her feel a little better. She seemed a little less sad after that, but she was also sad, still sad, but we could fast forward a little bit, and after I've discovered all these people like David Silverman, and and atheism is unstoppable and stuff, I had a better idea of my own ideas, on atheism and the universe and stuff. And my brother had become a born-again Christian at that point. I was like maybe in my later 20s. And me and him had an argument about it. Not like a heated argument, but we discussed it, because now he's all of a sudden a born-again Christian. I'm super atheist. And, and he's trying to argue with me evolution and, whether there's a God or not and all this stuff. And I'm trying to tell him, yeah, there's no proof of God and there's pretty fucking solid proof for evolution, And, but, we had that discussion for a while. It went on for a while. And my mom listened in on the whole thing. And it was a little while later in that day that she came up to me and she told me that she was proud of me because she said, you're really smart. She was like, I can't believe, like all those things you said make so much sense, and, my mom's old. She was raised in Peru. She's not going to give up her religiousness, she's not going to give that up. She's too old now and stubborn, and and the way she was raised, like I said, she was raised in Peru where everybody is religious. There's no escaping it, and it's drilled into you. So, it's just something that she can't let go. But she did tell me that, everything I said made total sense, and, she was very proud of the way I was able to argue my points and all that stuff, and that was really cool, and that's a good moment in my life that was kind of influenced by people like David Silverman. And then there's this, I remember there was I think David Silverman wanted a customized New Jersey vanity plate that said Athiest on it, and the goddamn Motor Vehicle Commission in my state denied him for it being objectionable. I think they said, what's objectionable about it? How ridiculous is that? But, he fought it and he got it. And that's where you see the picture of him with the Athiest plate. And I love it because it's the old New Jersey plates. I hate the new ones. The old blue and yellow one. It's fucking awesome. I wish we'd go back to that. I like those plates. Or maybe it's probably just nostalgia, though. But, I think it was sometime last year around my birthday, too. It was like in mid-April or something that he was terminated as the president of American Athiest, which sucked. He had been doing that for a long time. I'd been following him for a while, and now he's not. But there was this sexual allegations against him. We would talk about it, and we heard the story, and we were reading the story, and we were like, what? This doesn't sound right. This seems off, And I remember Devin made a video about it. A really good one, too. If you look it up, I'm sure you could find it. And, we just didn't believe it, man. And then, I haven't heard from anything from David for a year, and now he comes out with this interview where and I'm really happy he's doing this, but he's telling his whole side of the story. I think in general, we're seeing this a lot now with outrage culture and all this stuff where people are just looking to point fingers all the time. Any little thing somebody says, any little thing that somebody says somebody else did, everybody just wants to go and point the fingers and be like, you're a racist, you're a misogynist, you're this, you're that, without hearing the person's side of the story. Always hear the other person's side of the story. They could be lying, yeah, but so could the person who's telling you what that other person did. They could be lying too. The only people I trust in my life are people I know very well, I'll trust those people to not lie, but anybody I don't know, why would I trust them? I don't know if they have a history of manipulation, if they have a history of lying or accusing people of things. I don't know that. So why would I believe some random person all the time, It's very strange to me. The internet has really gone in this direction. It's very strange, but back to David. I'm very glad that he's out here. He's talking about his side of the story. His life has basically gone to shit since then, which sucks, because if he's telling the truth, which personally I believe he is, his life is just screwed over. You know what I'm saying? Over lies and accusations. And I heard him say in the interview that people should be punished for the full extent of the law if they you know, if they're accusing somebody of something and ruining their life with no backing, you know, with no proof. And if they're shown to have been liars, they should be punished for that, of course. And yeah, that's my little story. Thank you guys for listening. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Peace.